It is the women's final of the 4x400 metres, T53, T54. It's always one of the most dramatic events on the track. Somewhat diminished though due to the number of disqualifications in the heats. What a showdown it is. Lane 3 it's the United States, and in lane 5 it is China.
Yeah, it's a blustery conditions here at QE2. 3 to 4 metres a second blowing down the home straight. These girls will have to contend with that as a headwind down the back straight.
And it will be McFadden of the United States going against Zhang of China through this first 400 metres. And that is a very impressive United States team. Gali, Riley, Forber, Pratt.
McFadden already a couple of gold medals under her belt.
And equally impressive though, the team from China, Zhang, Huang, Lu and Zhao.
Women's 4x400 metres, T53, 54, final.
And those are the world records set last year in 2010 by the Swiss at 3:56. The Australians holding the championship record. They did that way back in 1998, time of 4 minutes 26.28.
So these first two athletes will stay in their lanes for the first 400 metres until the changeover. The second athlete will then break at the 100-metre mark down the back straight.
This will be interesting strategically how they do take this first 400 out. And we are underway in the final of the 4x400, T53, T54. And the athlete from the United States, McFadden, she will have the advantage of starting in lane 3. She will be able to track and monitor the progress of the Chinese athlete out in lane 5. And so through that first 150 metres, it's all about what happens over the second 200.
Always a little difficult to tell in the first early stages of a 4x4 who is actually in front with the stagger, but it looks like the American athlete already making up that stagger on the Chinese athlete and overtaking her on the inside.
Yeah, a very strong start from the American. Keep an eye though on the height of the elbows as they pull up on those wheels. If they start to flatten out a little bit, it's normally a sign of fatigue. Keeping good head position, staying down, a commanding lead for the Americans as they come up for that first change.
Change very important. The athletes must tag each other on the back between the blue lines on the track. The reason that there's only 2 teams in this is that during the heats many athletes were disqualified for changing outside the zone or for wheeling in the wrong lane.
Well, the Americans will want to keep that gap. The last thing they want is that gap to close up, because there is a huge advantage sitting there on the back of a teammate or a fellow competitor. You save anywhere up to 30% in a big bunch, and we are now just starting to see that happen. So as long as she can stay ahead of the Chinese athlete, it's going to make it very difficult. This Chinese athlete's going to expend a lot of energy, but the Chinese athlete has just clawed away back there. And in fact, it says, you know what, I'm feeling pretty good here. I'll come around the outside and grab this lead, try and get into that changeover. Wonderful race unfolding in this women's 4x400 metre final.
Yeah, fantastic leg there by the second Chinese athlete. They were well behind at the first change, but she's made that up, and now they will go into the third change in the lead.
Riley of the United States is the third competitor, and we have Lu of China halfway through, and now it is up to the American to try and see if she can close the gap on this Chinese athlete. But we just see Lu of China really exploding through this first 150 metres. We've got those arms turning over nicely. Good head position, good form from the Chinese athlete.
Yeah, the American athlete chasing hard there down the back straight into the headwind. She'll want to try and get on the back of the Chinese athlete and slingshot past her.
Well, that lead is considerable at the moment, but Forber Pratt of the United States still to come, and she is a very impressive athlete, having won the 200 metres. But it is China at the moment coming down this bend and to make that final change. Some pressure now really falling on the United States. They looked incredibly impressive, the Chinese, in qualifying. They've got a nice touch there on the inside lane. At this point, really, for China, it's just about making sure you put everything into that first 200 metres, put some doubt into the head of the Americans.
Yeah, definitely, Mark. And the Americans looking like they were just very close to changing outside of the zone there, so we'll hope there's not a disqualification here. But the Chinese athletes are well in front.
This is a very impressive performance, though, from Forbert Pratt. She has got the arms turning over. She is using every bit of upper body strength she's got to try and close the gap on the Chinese through the 200 metre mark. It is China still comfortably leading this final.
Yeah, the Chinese athletes have really gone away with this race, showing their strength. This is the reason why these athletes are at the top of the medal table.
And Zhao of China will come down. They will set a new games record and comfortably win this 4x400 metre relay, a demolition of the United States.
And they may also be a new world record too.
Well, that world record was established in 2010 by the Swiss, 3:46. It will be a new world record. The United States will have to settle for silver. But nobody can deny this very strong and powerful team from China, and they will very much be the team to beat heading towards the Paralympics in London in 2012.
And this is the second change here. Very close at the moment between